And I've got to say that's key to it, but a very friendly media and big tech that has actually been able to step in and cancel voices of reason and truth sometimes when they disagree with this administration. So it is it's a massive head fake by the Biden administration. Everything they say, you need to just assume the opposite is true. With respect to the energy situation right now, the claim that this is big oil's fault, that these leases are available, well, the Biden administration won't permit any transit for gas or oil. They don't talk about where these are, the amount of capital that needs to be committed to realize any of these leases, when at the same time they're trying to put forward nominees that want to debank the oil and gas industry. The whole thing is preposterous. And then what they do is they go with hat in hand to terrorists like Maduro or to the Iranians, the greatest sponsor of terror in the world. They want to deal with international killers to put oil on the market rather than American drillers.
Yeah, which brings me to my next point, and that is the readiness of our military. We see all of our adversaries rising, Senator, and we've spoken in the past about the fact that Joe Biden basically left our defense spending at low levels, even as our adversaries are investing in their military. This Omni package, this $1.5 trillion package last night, are you comfortable with the level of defense spending? You're on the Appropriations Committee, and you haven't even seen the text. What does that mean for defense spending, as we know that the Chinese Navy is actually larger than the U.S. Navy right now because it's not been updated?
As usual, Maria, you cite a great concern, a very real concern, and I'm not comfortable at all. Again, back to the process. This has been just reckless by the Democrats to not share any of this with the Appropriations Committee here in the Senate. We have about 36 hours to go before the government shuts down. On the defense side, the initial Biden budget that came out actually defunded the Department of Defense. The only two areas that they defunded, of course, were the Department of Defense and Homeland Security, back to your first point on our border. What they want to do is spend on the domestic side, creating more social programs, more government dependency, moving us closer and closer to socialism, but not toward military readiness. When you see the situation that's unfolding in the rest of the world, as you mentioned China, you think about what's happening right now with Russia, with Iran, with the terrorism happening around the world, we need to be moving in exactly the opposite direction. A stronger America, a stronger defense, not more socialism.
And yet, Senator, we're all standing here watching what is likely war crimes in Ukraine by Vladimir Putin, and the Pentagon pulls the plug on Poland's proposal to provide Ukraine with these MiG-29 combat jets. Ukrainian President Zelensky is pleading that the countries find a way to send the planes. Here's Zelensky yesterday. Watch this.
Listen, we have a war. We do not have time for all these signals. This is not ping pong. This is about human lives. We ask once again, solve it faster. Do not shift the responsibility. Send us planes.
And moments ago, Vice President Kamala Harris gave a non-answer when she was asked about it. Here's Kamala on the world stage. Watch this.
What kind of alternative plans does the United States have to get materials to help Ukraine defend itself, especially now that you have declined Poland's offer on jets?
I want to be very clear. The United States and Poland are united in what we have done and are prepared to do to help Ukraine and the people of Ukraine.
Well, she says she wants to be very clear. That wasn't clear at all, Senator. What is she saying?
I think whenever we hear her say, I want to be very clear, that means I'm about to not answer your question. And if I were the president of Ukraine or the Polish people right now, I'd be very concerned, because Kamala Harris's portfolio seems to be where they park every problem in this White House. Think about it. She's responsible for the border. She's the person that they put in charge of federalizing our elections. Now they've sent her to Poland. I think Zelensky should be very concerned.
Senator, we're waiting on inflation data. Gasoline prices are at record highs. We're going to get the CPI out any second, as gas is at now $4.32 a gallon, and we're at 40-year highs on everything else. What can you do as an elected official to get the Americans some relief from this inflation data?
The inflation data, I think, will print probably at 8% or north, and this is going to be record high inflation, Maria, as you know. What we ought to be doing right now is getting back into the drilling business right here in America. That would have the most immediate impact in terms of lowering the cost of energy here in America. Energy is an input factor for so much of what we produce. Everything that we make has got to be transported. This would have a dramatic effect if we would just stop the war in American industry.